everybody to Catholic Owned Live. Thank you so much for joining us for the Wednesday show. I am honored today. I have a special guest with me. I'm sure most of you know Sam, but if not, this is your chance to get to know Sam. So, Catholic Owned Live is the show where we talk honestly about work, business, vocation, and what it really means to build the new Catholic economy together. As I said, the Wednesday show today, I'm honored to be joined by Sam Nunnally of It's Okay to Be Catholic, and we're going to be diving in on all things Catholic economy. Sam, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Of course. Thank you, Brooke, for having me, as always.
So, we had the honor of having you join us on April 16th for the Catholic Economy Forum, and I loved getting linked up with you there. Um, would you mind giving your first impression of the Catholic Economy Forum, what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, sure. It was awesome. One of the things that um, Brooke, part of what I liked about it was just the uniqueness of all the different people from all these different backgrounds, um, Catholic entrepreneurs, business owners, influencers, whatever the case may be, and just having the chance to be in the same space with them. And I think that's one of the coolest things was the technology that allowed everybody to just be in that same space was just really great. You could walk up to someone digitally, speak to them, introduce yourself, and not get too weirded out. For some of us who might have a little social anxiety out there, or a little introverted part of who they are, it can be odd to walk up to people maybe in a conference environment. And this kind of took the edge off a little bit of that. It was still done in a digital format, but it was something you were familiar with, but you were still kind of in your own home base. So it was really cool. All types of people there, and really great talks as well, including Brooke, the things that you had to say. So I very much enjoyed it, and was impressed by the people that attended. It was really great.
Thank you so much, and I'm just delighted that you enjoyed the time. We had one attendee who said, "This really isn't for introverts because, if you're in person, if you're on your phone or something, that sort of sends a signal. I don't really want to talk to anybody. Um, but there, you're just there and they pop on over. But
Mhm.
like you said, that comfort of home and you can just walk away. So it's a really nice blend of that social but also balancing for everybody. So it
Mhm.
was a great session. And one of our panelists, Orlando, I'm not sure
Mhm.
if you remember
Yeah.
Orlando, those panelists, all of their stories, I think we were all either getting goosebumps or tears every other
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I think really the thing that was so encouraging about that, listening to those stories, particularly the panel stories, was just the sense of personal. They were just infused with a sense of personability and people sharing their experiences. It's different just to get, if you walk into a room, a boardroom, and you get kind of a PowerPoint presentation that someone gives you of maybe best practices. But all of these were personalized, they were real, and you could very much feel the personal element to people, which would encourage people that may be struggling in their journey through business to say, yeah, if they can make it, I can make it. That's really important. It was good.
Mhm, mhm. It really is important that we encourage one another, like you said, and Orlando gave just the best compliment of following the forum. He called me and he said, Brooke, today God was glorified,
That's great.
and so that was just the highest compliment, and so it was such a blessing, and so we're just grateful that you were able to make the time to join us
Absolutely.
and get that experience. We're
Yeah, it was
already
great.
starting next year.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, this year we were kind of on a short timeline for
Mhm.
planning. It was God said, do this for them, and we said, okay, and made it happen. But for sure, next year we have some really exciting things coming together
That's great.
already. So,
I will be in attendance and can't wait to go. It'll be great.
oh, thank you. Well, I would love to give a little bit of a spotlight on your ministry, Sam,
Mhm.
because we really see that part of building the new Catholic economy are leaders and influencers and creators, and apologists like yourself. So I would love to shine a light on your ministry at It's Okay to Be Catholic. I know you're doing a whole lot of great things. What can you tell us about what's new at It's Okay to Be Catholic?
Sure. Well, for those who don't know, it's okay to be Catholic is simply a 1 minute reels across social media that simply share things. I'm a former pastor, Protestant pastor who converted, and and then for several years went into banking and finance, and so I have a little bit of that business side too. And so it's simply a way, and then process of converting, and then I returned to ministry. So, okay to be Catholic is simply what I needed to hear. That's how it started, which was just it's okay to be Catholic. As you dig into some of these ideas and maybe you're a cradle Catholic, but you're just thinking, I'm not so sure, the Catholic Church is right for me anymore, or you're Catholic curious. It's just a way to quickly and succinctly give people information to help their Catholic faith overall. So that has been expanding. It started out just as a lark. It's not even my day job. I'm the director of campus ministry at Florida State. It's what I do during the day. And so I balance that pastoral and those business ideas as well. And so It's Okay to Be Catholic was just started on a lark just a few months after I took that job, is to say, well, maybe I have something to say in this digital space. Now that is expanded. So it's turned into um, uh, parish missions. It's turned into speaking opportunities. It's turned into just recently launched a locals account where I do 5, 10 minute reels on everything from basic apologetics, additional information regarding maybe explanation of why the Pope said what he said, and how in the United States we may take that different as opposed to a global approach, how we may take that. So I try to do all of those approaches overall. And then I do about a 5 minute segment on behind the reel. So every reel that I do is pretty scripted and pretty tight, concise for people, but they're usually personal ideas, reflections, or life experiences that maybe informed that reel and give the backstory as to why I decided to kind of craft them the way that I did. So it's a great place for people to connect with me, talk with me, as well as just get some of that additional information.
I love that you are, with this locals edition, you're giving the behind the reel. I love that so much. For those who haven't yet seen Sam's content, what you said is so true. It's very concise. It's so well done,
Thanks.
really, and just um, as you are in real life, right? Just very calm,
Yeah.
so composed, well spoken, and it's just very well done content. And so, how neat to have that sort of peek behind the curtain of what really goes in to create that quality content.
Yeah, it's a little more active and a little more there's plenty of ums and likes in the locals chat, but it is more authentic. A lot of I actually had to learn to be concise. I guess this is a good business point is there's plenty of chances in business and in other ways to maybe talk off the cuff, and people feel that that's more authentic. What I found, this actually was when I was a Methodist pastor, we were on the radio, and I had 24 and a half minutes total to do an entire sermon. And so what I learned from other Methodist pastors back then was I began to transcript everything and actually would color code paragraphs to make sure that I was on cue, and then I would practice the gait or the rhythm of those talks, because when the time on the radio was over, you got cut off whether you made your last point or not. And so part of my job in that was developing a sense of, dare I say, humility, or at least a little bit of limitedness of the fact that when I'm given extemporaneous time to speak, I oftentimes don't make the points I need to make, and I don't make them in a salient way that sticks with people. And I said, God, I want to do this right. Not only for you, but for the people listening to me. And I found that that carried over when I would do when I was the head of a large homeless coalition. I was the board president, and I had to give presentations, or I would have to give finance presentations in my work. I found I used those same sermon approaches when I was talking to other people, because I wanted to value people's time. And I felt if they were going to listen to me, whether it be for 5 minutes or 15 minutes or 25 minutes, that they deserved accurate, poignant information. And so that's the reason maybe I'll start the reels with 500 words, which would be about 4 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that. By the end, I've got it down to about 125 words, and every word is chosen carefully because I feel like people um, deserve to have their time respected. If they stick around for 1 minute and listen to me, they need to walk away knowing exactly what they hope to get out of that reel.
It's such a great perspective, and I think one we all can really learn from. The speaking concisely is absolutely a skill. So I appreciate that you shared that it does take real work to develop
Mhm.
that and then implement that over the years. Um, Really, it's something I'm constantly working on. So that really resonates with me as well. Well, and it's just so impressive to me your background. You have the Methodist pastor
Mhm.
background. You have the years. How many years in finance and on the business side?
Yeah.
Multiple decades, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's not quite 2 decades. It's probably about 13 years total, about 20 years as a pastor or in full-time church ministry. Part of that time was handling the administrative and financial side of nonprofits. But I started right out of college at Flowers Industries, which is a Fortune 500 company. They do like Nature's Own, White Wheat, Sunbeam bread company. I was a financial analyst for them. I left that job to go into ministry, and then was there in some capacity for about 20 years. I jumped out of that and jumped back into banking and worked for banks and individual lending companies doing residential and construction lending, and then worked my way up to where I was maybe over a five state territory, where I was more in charge of the different branches and other people that were doing that. And so I would put together these joint ventures with bankers, with real estate developers, and then with real estate agents. And that was fun. It was the funnest thing I got to do. It was much more fun than crunching the numbers. But again, just really enjoyed working with people and trying to help people come to an understanding, a collaborative environment for that. When I converted to the Catholic Church, I felt a really strong call back to ministry. And so that's how I ended up where I am today. I literally went into my parish priest's office, Father Tim, and said, I just feel relentlessly, persistently called back to ministry. But I'm this strange kind of half spiritual business type mutt developed, with these different things. He's like, actually, that's perfect for what we need to run this campus ministry organization. We need someone with enough business skills, but enough pastoral skills to kind of balance them. And I said, great, let's do it. So that's how I ended up where I am. So you never know, for people that might be listening, this tapestry that God kind of weaves in your life that has secular and religious ideas all kind of rolled together. A lot of times God's making something ultimately to land you in a place where all those skills come together to be used for his glory.
Mm, such richness there. So beautiful how, like you said, God really prepares us at each stage, for the next thing. And I love how, your life's work has sort of culminated in this beautiful, ministry as a campus minister.
Mhm.
And we've had the chance to do a little bit together on that end of things, which is so
Mhm.
amazing. your students love you. I can see that, and so that's so special. But then you've also, at the same time, um, had that sort of outflow into it's okay to be Catholic as
Yeah.
well.
Yes, absolutely. You know, that's the other part of the beauty of those 2 ministries together is they tend to be collaborative, you know? Brooke, that's a perfect example of where you and Matteo came in and spoke at our Catholic Means Business program, where we would bring in Catholic owners, Catholic business people, and say, "Hey, Catholic students, when you get out in the real world, this is kind of what you're gonna encounter." And, so we love having people in like that. I tell the students all the time, part of my job is to catechize you in your faith. It's also to catechize you for life. And those two things go together. If they're separated, it doesn't work very well. So thank you for being uh, one of the guests for Catholic Means Business. And it's you never know how God is going to use all those elements together and have them dovetail together. It's a beautiful thing. It's how he does what he does, right?
Yes, that's so true. That's so true. No, we loved coming on, and the students are great. I personally am a big fan of Gen Z.
Yeah.
I think they are wonderful, and so I have a very positive outlook. So anytime we get to interact with with the youth, as I like to jokingly say,
Mhm.
as an elder millennial, I'm very much an old soul, but it's always fun, and I just love to learn from them and work with them. Uh, so as we kind of wrap up here, I know as we discussed, you have so much of a background in business and in ministry, and we didn't even get to touch on the mental health. You're a certified mental health
Yeah.
coach. You've done so many things, as well as your beautiful family. Why would you say, in your opinion, why does building a Catholic economy matter now more than ever before?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I love what you guys are doing. And I love the way that you're describing to others what you're doing. The world needs good Catholics in lots of good places. The Catholic Church not only built Western civilization, it infused Western civilization in the foundation of um, our business world today is part of the virtues that the Catholic Church gave us. And so there are often times when well-formed Catholics who are good at business have the opportunity to influence the world in a significant way that maybe clergy or religious cannot do, or someone who's in a nonprofit who works at a church like I do cannot do. It's very, very important that every well-formed Catholic is not a priest, is not a religious. It's very important that they find their vocation outside the church while being message carriers of the church to the world around them. That's part of a good vocation too. As someone who was in a pastoral role but is now in kind of a different vocational area of life, um, my vocation as a father, as a husband, and as someone who was in business and is in a form of business now is just as important. And the Catholic economy, if Gen Z continues as it is, as you were mentioning, and if conversions continue on the trek that they are, the United States will be majority Catholic in about 70 years. That's hard to believe, but assuming that that's the case, that means there will be more business leaders who are more Catholic than anything else in the world. And the beauty of the Catholic economy, building the Catholic economy, which you and Matteo talk about, is allowing that reality to settle in, to grow, and to expand the Catholic influence in business that is here not only in the United States but all around the world. So it's extremely important for us all to get together to take that as our mission and move forward together as part of the Catholic economy to build something beautiful for God.
I love that. I hadn't actually heard that in 70 years will be the majority.
Yeah.
See? So I'm always learning from you, Sam. It's a beautiful thing. But it really is true that, especially you know, one of the programs I'm involved with talks about how we are living in a post Christian world in a lot
Mhm.
of ways. And so, whether we are the minority or the majority, it's so important that we really take whatever means that we have and direct them towards, reclaiming the culture
Mhm.
and having the impact that we can, whether that be small or absolutely massive. We
Absolutely.
really can do a lot. So, well, thank you, Sam, so much for being my guest today,
Of
and
course.
for all the beautiful work you're doing with our youth, with through your campus ministry, but also through It's Okay to Be Catholic. I didn't share earlier, as a convert myself, I am just such a fan of just your name. It's okay to be Catholic. That sort of permission given
Mhm.
of it's okay. It's so impactful, simple but impactful. So thank you for all the work that you're doing to help fellow converts and soon to be converts make their way home.
Of course, it's an honor.
Beautiful. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. This has been Catholic Owned Live with a special guest, Sam Nunnally from It's Okay to Be Catholic. Catholic Owned Live is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Central Time. I will be back here on Friday for Founder Friday. Have a great show and discussion lined up for you, so I hope you'll join me then. Until then, thank you for joining us. God bless you, and we will see you soon. Okay, and we'll end everywhere, and then we'll be good.